Okay, so let's take some deep breaths as we relax into your wonderful morning meditation before you start the day. What a wonderful way to start the day. So we'll just take a few minutes to find our postures, take some deep breaths, and do a little mindfulness of the breath meditation before I introduce today's topic. As you breathe out, let go of any tensions, whatever you've got on today, whatever lies ahead of you. Just put it to one side and enjoy this spaciousness of mind. And the motivation for today is to contemplate, meditate on the profound concept of equalizing self with others. Considered by many of our teachers to be a very mystic and profound concept, as the usual view, the worldly view, the ordinary view of beings is to put oneself first. So this is completely overturning that idea. So motivate that you're going to meditate on this in order to generate bodhicitta, so that you might become enlightened for the benefit of all. And we can just cast our mind back over the last few days to look at the foundation for this practice. It is very important. It helps open the mind to the possibility of achieving this rather than just intellectually considering it. So first of all, we remembered that all sentient beings have been our mother. We recognized all sentient beings as being our mother, and we remembered their kindness. And this is so dependent on understanding the nature of the mind. This vast, eternal, limitless, beginningless stream of consciousness that goes back so far that not even the Buddha could see an original mother. So, of course, this is kind of beyond our imagination. Actually, science supports the possibility of this without actually referring to it because of the studies of the universe, of Big Bangs creating universes and previous Big Bangs, and therefore existence. Existence. And if we consider the microcosm of us within the macrocosm of the universe, then we reflect that in our own way, with our own consciousness. The potential of this consciousness that we have carried since limitless, endless, beginningless time. So we cannot do anything but recognize that certainly every being we have come into contact with in this life has at one point been our mother. The ants in the roads and in the fields, the insect swarms, the fish in the sea, every being we have looked at on screens, every being we have met, strangers, friends, enemies, all. With the rational mind, could easily have been our mothers. And so the next step, after wishing to repay them for their kindness, is to overcome any sense of pride and specialness about just me. The way I view the world from the center of me. I'm the center of the universe. Everybody should think like me. Everybody should do as I say. Extraordinary self-cherishing attitude when we really rationally look at where we actually are in the universe and in time. So we want to reach a point in our meditation where we're almost blush with shame at the thought that we're more important than others. Every single being is equal in wishing to be free of suffering and wanting happiness, no matter how they go about it. That is actually what every being is trying to do. Remove discomfort, remove pain, sickness, old age, death, remove everything that there is in samsara to experience that is discontentment. And if you look at any being, the ant, the bee, the animals, the friends, the strangers, the enemies, exactly the same as us. And through their own karma and conditioning and habits, just doing what they feel or can do to ease their suffering and to bring happiness. So we can visualize here ourselves with all sentient beings in space and just build it outwards until you totally disappear and you are just one in this giant jigsaw puzzle of samsara. Totally dependent on others for us happiness and totally interdependent. And generate that feeling of equalizing oneself with all mother sentient beings. And so we start to recognize the shortcomings of self-cherishing, how limiting it is. It's like taking care of our arm and neglecting the rest of our body. That's ridiculous. We can really bring this to a practical level of thinking about when people are selfish, what happens to them? When people isolate, don't reach out, don't connect, don't care, look out for themselves. Realistically, Think of people like that, or maybe even when you have been like that, because you felt hurt and wanted to lick your wounds in your own cave. What does that lead to, really? The richest people in the world totally depend on us who buy from them. The most powerful people in the world totally depend on us to put them in positions of power. The most beautiful people in the world totally depend on us to recognize that beauty. So, whoever we are equal. And it makes complete common sense to exchange ourselves with others. In other words, focus our lives on benefiting others. And the marvelous irony of that is that, first of all, we have to benefit ourselves, understanding and contemplating the Dharma and becoming enlightened so that we can truly relieve all mother sentient beings. And so Rinpoche, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche wrote, by deeply thinking of the numberless shortcomings of cherishing myself and the numberless benefits of cherishing others, I can raise the greatly courageous thought, thinking of curing the suffering of all other beings by feeling even their smallest suffering as unbearable, and not being upset even by the thought of suffering all their sufferings. And Shantideva, whatever joy there is in this world all comes from desiring others to be happy. And whatever suffering there is in this world all comes from desiring myself to be happy. But what need is there to say much more? The childish work for their own benefit, the Buddha's work for the benefit of others. Just look at the difference between them. So we don't mistake this idea of equalizing and exchanging ourselves with others as one where we put ourselves at the bottom and allow beings to walk all over us, because our principal goal is to become enlightened. So whilst in our everyday lives we do what we can for others, by having this courageous thought and recognizing and remembering what existence is actually about, we can then get to a point where we can help all beings. And we come to our dedication. Due to all the merits of the 3 times accumulated by myself and by others, may any being, just by seeing, hearing, remembering, touching, and talking to me, be freed in that very second from all their suffering, disease, negative karma, obscurations, and abide in the peerless happiness of full enlightenment forever. And we generate great joy. There is no sadness or misery in this meditation. It's like freeing ourselves from the confines of our ego. And brings us immediate, infinite joy. And we can start the day with such happiness and with such a magnanimous view. Due to these merits, may I quickly attain Buddhahood and lead all living beings, without exception, into that enlightened state. And when you're ready, you can absorb all that for a minute or 2 more, but when you're ready, you can end your meditation. Oh.
Thank you, Ondy.
I have little hearts jumping up. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, all of you. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.